CWL board member and a department chair of the Advanced Management Studies. Based on some interaction and feedback we received during and after our last session, mental health is certainly a very important topic, especially considering that we live during quite different and quite difficult times, with uncertainty influencing many aspects of our lives. Taking care of one's mental and emotional well-being is of the utmost importance, now more than ever. With that said, it is such a pleasure to welcome you to our mental health panel, Wellness Strategies for Navigating Uncertain Times, High Emotions, and Stress. I would like to introduce our panelists. Marla Godette, Mentoring Moments CEO. Marla specializes in care of those diagnosed with chronic mental illness and ADHD. She provides counseling for children and families referred through the juvenile justice system and Department of Child Services. And she founded Mentoring Moments LLC to offer counseling and career support for women and people from disadvantaged situations. Lequita Brooks, founder and CEO of TherapyTopia, a licensed clinical social worker who worked both with the veterans and in the hospice management system. She regularly provides stress management tips to help busy professionals identify work-life priorities. TherapyTopia offers simple stress reduction strategies that people can apply to their life to become the best version of themselves. Dr. Marilee Bresciani Ludvik, founder of the Rushing to Yoga Foundation, is a mindfulness-based stress reduction, meditation, and yoga practitioner. Furthermore, Marilee is a professor of post-secondary education leadership at San Diego State University and a certified teacher of meditation at the Chopra Center. Last but not least, our moderator today is Dr. Jenny Walker, CWL board member, lead faculty for both our bachelor's and master's program in leadership, and quite an accomplished researcher. During our panel discussion, please use the chat pod for your questions. After our brief discussion with the panelists, we will have an open forum and try to address as many of your questions as possible. With that said, good luck to our panelists. Thank you for attending again, and go ahead, Jenny.
Thank you so much, Maya, and welcome to everyone. Thank you to our panelists for being here today. We're so excited to have you on this important topic. Now, each of you has your own practices and your unique approaches to mental health and wellness approaches and issues. And we'd like to hear from each of you about the focus of your work. So starting with Lequita, if you would please tell us about your practice and the main concerns that you're seeing among your clients right now.
Thanks, Jenny. Hey there, virtual world. I am Lequita Brooks, and I just want to thank you all so much for being here today. So listen, I thought I was going to be dead at the age of 37. Yes, at 37. I was stressed out at my 9 to 5. I was stressed out with building a business to leave my 9 to 5. I was stressed out with going through a 15-month and counting custody case. And on top of all of that, I was stressed out because my daughter was being kicked out of school. So today I come to you as a person who's had some personal experiences and also professional experiences to help you learn how to navigate uncertain times and also to stop stressing. So thank you so much, and I'm excited to be here. Please make sure you drop in the chat. What is your number one stressor, your number one stressor? Drop that in the chat for us today.
Thank you so much, Lequita. And moving on to Miss Marla.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Marla Godette. I'm the founding mentor and CEO of Mentoring Moments. And the gist of my practice is mental health awareness and leadership, career development, bringing people to a space where they can say, oh, I didn't know I could do that. you know, just opening up that door for them. And it starts mainly with mental health. There is no health without mental health. And that was coined in 2019 by the World Health Organization. And I stand firm with that as a woman who has been through marital problems and family problems and work problems, as being a Black female and young when I was in corporate America, and stress, and thinking that we can do it all because we're women and that's what we were told and we're just going to do it all. Yeah. And so I have learned from experience in putting together that clinical work in education to help people know you need therapy. And everybody doesn't like that word, so I'll just be your mentor. That's where it comes from.
Thank you so much, Marla.
You're welcome.
We'd love to hear from you about your practice and your focus right now.
From Marla or from me? I'm sorry, I'm
Marilee, from you.
Oh, from me. Okay, all right, thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with all of you. I serve students in post-secondary education, and I also serve leaders in post-secondary education predominantly, as well as K through 12 leaders. And so what we see primarily is people coming to us to manage stress. Also coming to us to really learn skillful strategies to deal with environments of harassment and bullying, and several isms that are, as I know I'm preaching to the choir here, that we all know are quite present. And so the practices that we share are practices that we practice, and practices that have, I would say, literally saved my life, in agreement with my colleagues on the panel, are practices of mindfulness-based stress reduction, practices of self-compassion that I was really resistant to, being kind to myself, and practices of connecting with nature, movement, learning how to pay attention to what I eat and what I drink and the impacts of that on my physical and mental well-being. And then what we also do is invite our colleagues and clients to connect with their wisdom traditions. So re-inviting them, because many times we're working in colonized environments, and so just re-inviting them to connect back to rich wisdom that comes from their culture, their ancestors, and giving them permission to bring that in to themselves in the body as they work and in their practices, their work practices.
Thank you. We are going to now dive into some questions to explore this topic more fully, and we'll have some Q&A from the audience at the end of this. Starting with Lequita, these are challenging times, and there are millions of people who have lost jobs or their lives from the virus that's going around. Social isolation has affected people differently, from working parents juggling kids at home. I know I've got kids at home today in school, as many of you do. Protests of police brutality in the wake of George Floyd's death, and others as a tipping point, and many more of our community members who are just feeling these symptoms of anxiety and depression today. And so given these turbulent times and what may seem like an unclear future, how can one get free mental health assistance and stay well?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The first thing I want to say to everyone, it is completely normal, natural to feel a bit of anxiety right now, a bit of depression, just dealing with uncertainty, because it is a lot going on right now. I think for all of us, everything is new and we are constantly adapting. So if you feel like you need some additional mental health support, you can definitely go to nomorestressing.com to download a free mental health resource guide along with a video course. So So that's one of the resources. And also I want to give you 3 simple strategies. So number 1 is control what you can. Because when we think about George Floyd, we can't dictate what the outcome will be of, what's going to happen. What will be the outcome? If we stress out about that, then that's not really beneficial. But what we can do that's within our control is see how we can support. When it comes to schooling at home, we can't control whether the school board allows our kids to go to school or they don't. But what we can do is connect with the right supports. So if we know that we're a single parent or a parent that co-parents, but you don't have as much support, hey, you have to find some support. When it comes to politics, that's another pressing issue. So we can't control what's going to happen with that. So don't focus on it. Don't give energy to it. Just do what you can in your part when it comes to that. So that's number 1. Focus on what you can. Number 2, focus on your top 3 priorities. In this season, in this climate of high stress, none of us can afford to wear more than 3 hats. So limit it to 3 hats. So I know you're like, well, I'm a non-traditional student and I'm a parent. Well, maybe those are 2 hats already. So you have 1 more hat. So figure out how you're going to say no or delegate some of those other hats. Because in this season, you can really only focus on 3 different priorities, which is basically wearing 3 hats. That's it, ladies, no more. And also gentlemen. And number 3 is ask for help. A lot of times we don't want to ask. We're like super women, super men, and sometimes it's simply pride or we don't know how to ask. But make sure you really figure out what is the problem, what's going on. So then when you go to make your ask, it can be very concise, and also ask someone to do something who has a skill set. So don't ask someone who's not tech savvy to go build a website. That's not realistic. So make sure it's within their skill set. So focus on what you can control, your top 3 priorities, and ask for help because it is totally okay.
Thank you so much, Lequita. This next question is going to Marla. Historically, there's been a stigma that's been associated with the admission that a person was struggling with some of these mental health issues. For example, managers or coworkers labeling these person as crazy or unstable. And as female leaders, how do we eliminate these unfair stigmas and create an environment where it's safe to admit or talk about these struggles with mental health?
I'm going to say that we start with ourselves. So women typically in the mental health world, they report more than men anyway. So they're more apt to say, "Ooh, yeah, I need to go see somebody," but maybe not telling that at work. Well, I don't want them to think I'm unstable. I don't want them to think I can't do my job, So they will talk about it, but maybe not in this professional setting. If we as leaders are creating an open door where we put ourselves out there, like me being the first one to say, yes, I go to therapy. Yes, I have a therapy budget. And oftentimes I exceed that budget because I need it. And we say it's okay. Then those who are our followers of our leadership are more likely to bring that stigma down. Whoa, Marla said she goes to therapy or counseling or she has a coach so we start with ourselves and knowing that, as we go, the leader, so do the followers go, right? Follow the leader type thing. And so if we're talking openly about mental health, hey, how do you feel today? Not what did you do today? Oh, girl, what did you get done? Oh, my God, I did 27 things. Well, I really don't care. How do you feel after doing those 27 things, right? And knowing that you can go to I'm just saying a name on the screen, Brandy, and say, Brandy, I did do 27 things, but guess what? I'm burnt. I'm spent. I probably need to talk to somebody. I got triggered today doing thing number 18. I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't even know that was there. It's all about this transparency of mental health being a part of normal life. We, the leaders, we, the women, we, whatever men are on here, have to begin to normalize mental health. There is no health without mental health. This feeling in your shoulder and it's all tight and weighted down and heavy, that's probably depression. Your heart's beating like this, doop, 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 doop. That's probably some anxiety. So we're all connected, and until we get to this point where we can embrace that ourselves, then we won't tear the stigma down. So we have to take the lead on that. We have to. And we have to accept that some parts of stress are okay, and there's some that's not. Many women have learned to work under excessive stress, and it's causing them problems, and we ignore it. That's why heart disease is the #1 cause of killing women, is because we just say, oh, I just felt a little burn, oh, whatever. I just felt it. Well, because you keep doing 27 things every day, you know? ERO, I'll write it in the chat in a minute, but there's a helpful stress to you. It's called ERO stress. And it is the stress that pushes you just enough to get a few things done. And it is the stress that says, ooh, this is exciting, let me make this happen. But then it comes back down to a normal level. When you're always, then that's not the healthy stress you want. So it's learning to work within that healthy stress and starting with yourself, saying mental health is a part of life and I'm going to destigmatize that.
Excellent points. I particularly love that point about really finding out how somebody is doing today. How often do we just say, hey, how are you doing? And our response is, how are you? We don't answer the question. So great point. For Marilee, a question for you. Do you believe that technology can be helpful in stress relief? Apps such as Calm and Inscape and others that are out there? Or are they just some other form of addiction and dependence?
Well, yes, and yes, actually. So I have the privilege of serving on a big research team where we actually research the effects of our mindfulness and compassion curriculum on its ability to actually reduce stress and anxiety, as well as increase compassion. And I saw some of the chat pieces. So I'm going to get back to answering that question, but I saw some of the chat pieces and I want to go ahead, if I may, and distill a myth about compassion and self-kindness or self-compassion. So in this research, coming back to the question about the apps, I just want to share that compassion has a very neuroscientific definition. It's 4 parts. And my colleagues on the panel, Marla and Lequita, right? Is it Lequita? Lequita. No, we got to get it right. Lequita and Marla have mentioned the importance of normalizing and really being genuine in how we reach out to ourselves and to each other for help. And so compassion has got a feeling for someone, a genuine feeling for, an understanding of the pain and suffering. And then there's connecting with others who are in pain and suffering, that you're not alone, and that reduces the isolation that can drive depression. But then there's a taking action to alleviate that pain and suffering. And self-compassion is really putting this toward me. So I'm seeing some of this, I can create my own pain and suffering through guilt by feeling like I'm following Lequita's advice to prioritize, right? And I saw that in there. So it's a practice. There are some very specific practices that a person can begin to practice, right? And those apps can be really helpful in your go-to support system on a daily basis that will help you start to learn loving kindness meditation. And I'm using meditation as a tool of the mind and not in a religious context here, just as to begin to rework neural networks. So yes, people can become addicted to those. And my take and what I share with our clients is, well, what I understand from research is every human being has some sort of set of addictions. Why not make them healthy ones? So if you're addicted to an app that helps you manage your stress and anxiety, allows you to deal with the imposter syndrome or the guilt, self-talk, inner critic voice, then, and if that helps you, use it. If it's adaptive and constructive and not maladaptive and taking you out of your life. And I'll put some things in the chat window as well, where those free resources.
Thank you so much, Marilee. I personally use the Calm app and I really enjoy it. I like the sleep stories. They're really great. If y'all haven't checked those out. So the last question is for all of our panelists. Considering your many years of experience in the field, when you think of women in particular, what would be one of the most important messages that you would share with them? And we can start with Lequita.
Yes, so I would say the number one is to be intentional about developing a stress-free mindset. And you're like, how do you do that? By focusing on your top 3 priorities, just 3, that's it. So you can have a stress-free lifestyle. So just focus on your top 3 priorities. That is what I would recommend, especially in high stress times or when you're dealing with high stressors in your life.
Thank you. Marla, what are your thoughts?
My thought is to say that balance is a fallacy. It's not real, right? We want to balance everything. And it's like, oh, I want a 25% here and 25% here and 10 here, and then I'll have 100%. And that just causes more stress, because there's some times where certain things require 80%. I might need to work on that paper, Miss Jenny knows, for 80% that week, because, you know, it just is what it is. And everybody else is getting 10, 10, and, you know, 5, if that's more than 100 though. But you know what I'm saying? You have to start seeking out what brings me peace. Okay. Self-care is not just bubble baths and lighting candles and stuff. Self-care is 5 parts to who you are. That's your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, and your emotions and your finances. You got all these 5 things that have the ability to cause you great distress or great joy. And so as you start to look at caring for those 5 parts of who you are, the other stuff will come along, right? It makes no sense to say, oh my God, COVID has me so worked up, I'm just going to go buy candles and light them and incense and lay back, and you've spent all your money on these things, and you take this deep bubble bath for, 3 hours and turn into a prune. And when you wake up, your electric bill is due and you've just spent your money, but you felt good for 3 hours. That's not self-care. So during this time when we've had all of these situations going on, we need to understand truly what what self-care is. I need to take care of my finances, my mind, that's my mental health, my soul, my emotions. I need to take care of my body, my physical health, and I need to take care of my finances. You start working on those 5 things, the wholeness of who you are, that's how you care for yourself.
That is quite some wisdom. I love the 5 takeaways, and on your hand too. It's a good physical reminder. Yeah. Marilee, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, I want to affirm what my colleagues said, their wisdom and their expertise and their brilliance, insight. Yes, to that. And I don't know that I would add anything except for, as I see what's coming in the chat window, have the courage to put yourself and your well-being first. You know that intellectually, you have all heard that intellectually, and it takes courageous action to heed the advice of my colleagues on the panel. It takes courageous action. And if for a moment you have that thought of, I don't deserve this, I don't, whatever it is that I notice myself going into, I need to respond to this person. I need to take care of this. My invitation to you is to ask, is that true? Is that true? And who would you be? What would you choose if you didn't believe that you didn't need to take care of yourself? What would you choose? And then flip that. Who would you be? This is a Byron Katie practice. Who would you be? What would you choose if you believed that was true? And then notice in the body what feels like the wisest choice. And then give yourself permission to courageously act.
Thank you so much to all of you, and I'll turn the mic over to Dr. Rena Weisblatt.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, first of all, for joining us today at this Center for Women's Leadership session. And I want particularly to thank our esteemed panelists for sharing their wisdom and expertise with us today. In the chat box, there was a lot of praise and thanks to the panel for the very useful information, really. And for example, people shared their experiences and how they feel in these times. For example, one person says that number one stress is time management and financial, hard to separate them. And we are so grateful that Marla, to a certain extent, addressed that question already. Katie was so graciously mentioning that Lequita's positive and sincere energy is already solving all of our problems. Seriously, shout out to Lequita. And I just love that comment. Lequita, would you like to share with us your secret of staying positive and illuminating all the positiveness that you can share with other people?
Yes, definitely. I look at every day, it's like I have 100% of energy. And like Marla said, we can't compartmentalize and say I'm going to give 25% to everything, because that's not realistic. So I'll use the example about the custody battle that I mentioned earlier. Like when I was going through a custody battle, that's like top 1/2 stressors in the whole world. That is one of the most stressful things. Divorce, separation. In that season, the custody battle took everything out of me, along with being a parent. So we have to really be honest with ourselves and say, hey, am I going to use my energy to focus on things that I can't control? Because every time I get upset about George Floyd or politics or being forced to work at home, etc., that's energy that I'm using that's not going towards me accomplishing my goal. So that's why, I guess for me, the number one thing is controlling what I can. And that simply means using my energy wisely on things that's within my circle of influence. Because unless that, it's counterproductive and I've exhausted all of my energy and I can't really thrive and be absolutely amazing in this climate. So in order to be amazing, focus on what you can control.
That's a wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Lequita. And other participants also mentioning circle of influence, which in their view means focusing on what you can control, exactly what we've been discussing today already. And we talked about this in a recent seminar offered at the Ashford University. So I would like to ask Marilee, if you, Marilee, can add something to this notion of circle of influence or focusing on what you can control. How would you suggest to approach that?
Yes, thank you. I don't know that I can add anything to Lequita's wisdom, but maybe just another way to think about it is we often, when we're working with leaders, we talk about focusing on your locus. So focus on your locus. So that's your and as Lequita already shared, your locus of control. I think the difficult part of that is figuring out what is your locus of control when you're feeling a lot of responsibility. And I see a lot of that going on in the chat window, just a lot of women or those who identify as women or identify with the female aspect, there's a lot of feeling of how do I discern what is in my control and what is in my responsibility? And that is a question that, of course, only you can answer. But it's also why we have in the mindful compassion practices several silent action practices. So when I see a lot of pain and suffering, and I'm trying to follow the wisdom of advice that Lequita shared and that Marla shared, a silent, active action practice can actually begin to help me feel like I am sending a positive thought to someone. I'm sending a quick text to someone. I'm thinking of you. I'm feeling for you. So I'm feeling just like I'm acting on that responsibility without it becoming, as I heard Lequita say, my priority to fix, my priority to take care of. And this is not a one decision for the rest of your life. This is a moment by moment, noticing what's coming into your radar of awareness, being with it in a softening kind of way, just like gentle, like, of course I feel this way. Of course I feel this way. I'm validating how I feel. I'm validating this need to act. And what do I need to hear right now? What do I need to do right now? And then giving yourself, again, courageous permission to act on that.
Fantastic. So thank you so much, Marilee. I'm sure that many of us can use this very wise advice. And frankly, not only in our personal life, but also in our professional life. I often, and please forgive me, I will just take a few seconds and just want to share my personal inspirations, and actually want to show this brilliant book by Marilee Bresciani called The Neuroscience of Learning and Development. I was so impressed, Marilee, that you, in this book, you salute and use the quote by Otto Scharmer, who said that we transform organizations by transforming quality of attention and clarity of intention. And I think this is so true about all of us individually and about organizations who pay attention to their employees and to the way they formulate that clarity of intention. And that said, I would like to bring to your attention another question, and I think it's a very important one, from one of our participants who asks, how to deal with people who consistently try to bring your confidence level, discourage you from starting a new project or executing your thoughts, and will not listen to your study of the story or constantly say you're not fit to do anything. Your idea is going to fail. I apologize, I did not notice the name of the person who asked that question, but it's in the chat. Who would like to, out of our panelists, who would like to start answering that question? How to deal with people who constantly try to bring your confidence down? Marla, fantastic. Please go ahead.
I would start by saying, take a few minutes first to know who you are. This person, whomever, whatever the situation is, they can't bring your confidence down if you already know who you are. And that is where the struggle is. It's not the person, it's you. You need to know who you are and what would even make you entertain conversation with someone who is so negative towards you. They are not helpful to you. They don't add value. They're not essential to your life. And so what's making you continue to talk to them and be around them, and they're not helpful? So that's where I would start is, when I get in conversations like this, I don't get too much focused on what someone said and they said and blah, blah. No, you, I'm talking to you. What's making you care about what they say? Well, that's my mother. Well, that's still not answering my question. It doesn't matter who it is. What's making you take that person's opinion of you over yourself? And sometimes when we've been raised in certain ways and, you know, we may have had an aggressive parent or someone who's, you know, negative and saying things, it does affect us. And so that's, now you're at a good point to say, you know what? I need to work on this because this stuff is really bothering me and I'm letting it hinder me. Their motivation could be that they're just jealous of you or they're envious, or it could be 1,000 things. Don't worry about them. Worry about you. Marla, somebody tell me the question, asked if you're the boss or something. Mm-hmm. You can see it, Arena. That's what I want to say about that, though. But there was another question that came on top of it. I just missed it.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Marla. And another question was also addressed to Marla specifically, but I'm sure our other, just feel free, all of our panelists to answer it. I think it's a very important question. The person says, at times, business creates a culture of, if you are not working 24/7, you are not a professional who cares. However, if we don't take care of ourselves and recharge, we won't have anything to give, and we'll end up falling apart and being unproductive eventually. Do you think this is true? What do you as experts have to say about it? Lequita, would you like to take this question?
Yes, I definitely will. And I am not that full-time business owner that believes that you should work 24/7. I do not, and I repeat, I do not believe that. I do not live that way. Since during COVID, I've actually went to Mexico for 7 days. So I've taken a vacation. I spend time with my daughter. So nothing is ever even, but during times when she's, you know, at her dad's house, you know, I might spend a little more time working. When she's home, I'm with her. We take vacations together. So no, please do not feel like you need to work 24/7. The key is if you focus on 3 priorities, AKA if you're just wearing 3 hats. So I'll give you an example from my life and maybe it can help you. I have 3 focus areas. One is finances, because that's me building my business because I need to sustain my lifestyle and we need to take vacations. Family, my daughter. And third is fitness, because I need my mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness in order to do everything else. So if things do not align with those 3, just those 3, they're not happening. And that's just my thoughts. So to answer your question, no, please do not feel like you need to work 24/7. And guess what? If you're around people and your environment is telling you that, then you may need to connect with a group of like-minded people. Get with a community of people who speak the same language with the same values as you, So then you can be energized by having a quality of life, a stress-free lifestyle, and still being productive and doing things that's really important to you.
I agree
Thank you so much. Yes, Marla, please go ahead.
I agree 1,000% with Lequita that I wrote in there that it's not efficient. If a culture is telling you, the leader saying, oh, you got to get done, we got to be here all the time and we got to do this and that, well, maybe there's some underlying motive there, like they want more money or they want whatever. But if you give me an assignment and a task and I can get it done in 8 hours, I'm getting it done and then I'm going home. It's not efficient if I can't get it done in all this time. That's why, I've done some leadership workshops and why do you have people here all day? For what? and really it's because of the nature of, it was a financial institution. They work all the time, all different hours and shifts. But these young people there, you have people 25 years old, they make $300,000 a year. Well, in order to do that, they work all the time. So it's all about what's motivating you. So if you want to make $300,000 a year in the banking industry, then you'll work 24/7. It won't be healthy. You won't get to spend the money. Your mental health will be shot, that's for sure. But that's what you'll be doing. So you have to check the motives. That's not a motive for me. I'm going to do my work and I'm going to go home.
Excellent. And thank you so much, both Lequita and Marla, reminding us and highlighting these priorities, among which also you mentioned, Lequita, finances. Something that we women, frankly, are not always good at. So I'm really appreciative, not that I personally do not pay attention to that, but I'm appreciative of you reminding us that finances matter. Pay attention to that. Our own emotions and our state of mind matter. Pay attention to that. And most importantly, I appreciate you giving us wonderful resources. Everyone, please check out the chat box. Look at all those specific links and resources that our panelists recommend to use. And again, when our recording of this session will be posted on the online at our website for the Center for Women's Leadership, you will be able to see those resources again. I love this comment, and if not mistaken, it comes from Dr. Ivy, who says, be sure to applaud yourself for completing your priorities. Then keep your forward focus. Self-recognition is a good thing. What do you think about it? Marilee, do you have anything to say about celebrating ourselves?
Oh, yeah, celebrations are, as you know, Irina, I love celebrations.
I know.
I know. I'll just create a reason to celebrate. And I, just even if you're needing connection, I'll create a Zoom invite. Women, it tends to be mostly women, women friends, to just say, all right, let's all y'all, let's gather. Even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to give each other a positive boost. So celebrating with each other, and also encouraging others to celebrate. I'm going back to the question that preceded this because I think they're linked. And it's this productivity-driven work environment that we find ourselves in. And I'll never forget going through a coaching process like Marla referred to, and we were using team-based coaching. And I was struggling with trying to break out of constantly working all of the time. And one of my colleagues mentors in the coaching circle asked me this question: to what do you source your value? To what do you source your value? Again, it's just another way of looking at what Lequita and Marla have been talking about the whole time. But when that question landed, I still get goosebumps. When that question landed on these ears and in this body, I realized that I had to rework priorities. My work environment has not changed. It will not change. But for me to hold the question when I'm being demanded to do more, to create more, to produce more, is to drop back in, take that breath and say, to what do I source my value? And then courageously choose. Have I been passed over for promotions? Yes. Have I been passed over for merit increases? Yes. So yes, back to Lequita, where's my locus of control, right? And what Marla was advising us, do I know who I am and what I care about and what I value and how I want to live in the world and be in the world? That's my job. So I got totally off the question that you asked, Irina, but I think they're connected. And so the celebrations, if I don't feel like I can celebrate an accomplishment because it's not enough, that, forgive me, I know we're live on Facebook and we're recording, but that's a bullshit message. That's just all it is. It's bullshit, and I'm buying into colonized work environment, and I ain't doing that anymore.
Thank you so much, Marilee. As you can see,
I'll mute myself and take
among those please don't, not yet. Thank you. And in fact, you did answer the question absolutely about celebration and importance of it, because after all, we do, we need to know what we source our values from. So another question that I absolutely love, and I hope that many of our participants today will associate with this question. Here it is. Women often have a tendency to try to be all things to all people, including family, friends, managers, co-workers, and clients. How can professional women establish and maintain reasonable expectations for themselves and clearly communicate those expectations or limits to others? So the important part here, we may have discussed a little bit the other issues, but the important part here, how can we clearly communicate those expectations to others? Lequita, volunteer.
Yes.
Go ahead, yes.
So first, I think as Marla has talked about, it starts with us. So wake up every day with a stress-free mindset. And what does that look like? If you know that you're a person that's extremely supportive, you want to help everybody, even when you're completely exhausted, burnt out in that capacity, you can, if you don't feel comfortable saying no, learn to say, hey, I need to check my schedule. Or if it's your manager, say, okay, I'm working on A, B, and C. If you would you like for me to work on this new project that you're giving me first, and then I can continue working on A, B, and C? So you're not telling your manager no, you're just setting that boundary and also making them aware, by the way, I already have all of these other projects. Which one would you like for me to do first? So then you can prioritize your work for today. So if all else fails with just other individuals besides your manager, because I know it can be challenging in a work environment, but with other people, say, let me check my schedule. Or also, I think earlier we talked about with leadership, how do you know what you're responsible for versus what you're not responsible for? And I would say, think about it in a sense like this. If you're a leader and you have a team, think about what are the things that only you can do. So those things that only you can do and you're the rock star at, then by all means, those are the items you need to take ownership of. But if there are other tasks that are leadership-y that needs to get done, but you have other people on your team with the skills and abilities, leverage those other team members, you know, to help with some of those different projects if that's within their skill set. So learn to say no in very different ways in case you don't feel comfortable just saying no.
Thank you so much, Lequita. If just to illustrate your point, not only I completely agree with you, but to illustrate your point, I was bragging to my close friends in the beginning of the year when we exchanged ours, you know, New Year resolutions. One of my New Year's resolutions was a dozen don'ts, or in other words, how to say no. To identify what are your strengths, like you said, and capitalize on those strengths. And don't spread yourself thin doing something unimportant or something that other people can do much better. Recognize the strengths of those people who can do it better, and don't jump at every single opportunity simply to supposedly to show that you can do it all. I saw another comment about that, you know, trying to do everything and ending up maybe not bringing much meaning to what you're doing. Thank you so much, Lequita. I'm sure to all of our panelists, but to me personally, it was a very, very valuable advice. Thank you. Marla, do you have to add something?
I was just going to say too, as we've been talking about stress, and sometimes adding those things, like Lequita was saying, if you can have someone else do it, then have them. But if we have the mindset of, well, no, I got to do it, you're adding more stress onto yourself. And I'm going to tell you something, this might get a little prickly. Quit being self-righteous. Like, oh, I can do it. And, you know, no, because then you do it with a nasty attitude. Yeah, I got it. Okay, it's done, whatever. And you didn't even enjoy doing it. But on the outside, you're all, oh, yeah, I got it. And then you're at home slamming cabinet doors and stomping all over your computer and yelling at the dog and everything. You didn't even enjoy taking on all of that stuff. So stop. Just stop. If it's not making you happy anyway. So whatever that is that's making you want to be all things to all people, go to counseling and find out, where is this coming from? Because you're going to put too much stress on yourself. It's not good and healthy for you to do all that.
Thank you so much, Marla. Thank you, everyone. Once again, I want to thank our fabulous panelists for your wisdom. And I wish we could spend more time together, and maybe we will again. But at this point, we have just a few minutes left. I want to turn it to another member of our advisory board at the Center for Women's Leadership, Brandy Havens. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much again. Brandy?
Yes. On behalf of everyone here at the Center for Women's Leadership, a huge thank you to our amazing panelists, Lequita Brooks, Marla Godette, and Dr. Marilee Bresciani Ludvik. As we all move forward during these uncertain times, you've given us a wealth of information and insight and perspective that we can use not only to improve our own mental wellness, but also to promote the acceptance, the positivity, and the change that we want to see in our organizations. Additionally, we want to thank all of our attendees and participants today. We appreciate you choosing to spend part of your afternoon with us. We're going to be sending you a follow-up email shortly, and I would strongly encourage you to join the Center for Women's Leadership if you've not already. Our membership is rapidly growing, and we hope to continue offering our members a variety of resources and opportunities to assist in both personal and professional development. Lastly, we'd like to invite everyone to our upcoming webinar event in October featuring Dr. Diane Hamilton, a behavioral expert, author, radio host, consultant, and the creator of the Curiosity Index Code. She's been named one of Thinker's 50 top innovative business thinkers in the world for 2020. She's going to share her thoughts on the importance of developing curiosity to promote successful women's leadership. So thank you all, and we will look forward to seeing you in October.